Creepers left to rise, buzz like crazy. Everybody's trying to steal my lady. Spiders in the mirror and feel this can't be right. Back to the scene of a Friday night, to a blessed collision still frozen tight. Spear drinkers, Cupid and the sound of her first chime. And why did you argue? We're dreaming of those eyes.
Hello my friends and good morning! Welcome to another reading vlog. This reading vlog is the last week of July. So what I wanted to do with this reading vlog is just go over some of the books. Not go over, what am I talking about? I don't know. My brain just went like... Anyway, what I want to do is try and get to the books that are on my July TBR that I didn't get to. Not gonna lie, pat myself on the back. I really killed it with sticking to my July TBR. Not that like you have to, but I do enjoy getting through books that I plan to read, you know, like I want to do that. So yeah, I got through a lot of them, all the ones that were priority I got through, and so this reading vlog is, I'm going to try and fit in hopefully 3 books in this reading vlog, hopefully that's the goal, that were on my TBR that I haven't gotten to until now. So the first one that I picked up is, would you believe that I forgot the title of it? It's this one. I literally just looked at it on my phone. It's the first book in the Bergman Brothers series. I think it's Only When It's Us. This is a contemporary romance. It's like the blurb says, it's like frenemies to lovers, college sports romance in a series, but could be a standalone. So if you've probably heard of the Bergman Brothers series by Chloe Leese, they're pretty popular. These are really contemporary romances that are, I feel like, they get a lot of love. They have really good representation, specifically for different types of disabilities and chronic illnesses, and I'm really excited about that one. So this weekend, on a whim, I just was looking through my Kindle trying to pick up, because on the weekends I can usually get one Kindle book read because I don't work. Well, I will work on Saturdays, but Sundays I take the day completely off, so that's usually my big reading day. And so I picked up the 4th book in the Bergman Brothers series, which was an arc, and this book comes out September 18th. It's called With You Forever, I think is what it's called. I'm so sorry. This is the cover. It comes out September 18th. I received an arc of this, and it was one that I was like excited about, but also kind of like hoped I would be in a good mood for it. And then this weekend, I don't know what came over me, but I was just like, you know, I want to read that. And so I picked it up, started it, literally could not put it down hardly at all. I finished it in 24 hours and I absolutely adored it. It was a 5-star read for me. It was fantastic. This is about Rooney, the heroine. I'm just going to briefly tell you what it's about. Rooney, the heroine, has a chronic illness. She's in law school. She has IBD, ulcerative colitis. She has a really bad flare-up, and she then needs to take some time off from law school and de-stress and relax. So she contacts Willa, who is her best friend, or Willa offers her the Bergman vacation home, which is just basically a cabin up in the wilderness. And so she goes to visit there, to just stay there and relax and everything, and that is where she meets Axel, the Bergman brother, and Axel is there. It's his scheduled time to be there, but he also has a cabin where he lives that is right next to the vacation home. And he had just gotten some news that the vacation home is basically unlivable, that it either needs to be sold, torn down, or have extensive repairs that are extremely expensive. And he loves this home. He doesn't want to contact his siblings or his mom and dad because he knows that nobody else will have the money or that they won't want to commit to putting the money in to fix it. So he decides to take it upon himself to fix it, utilizing a trust fund or just an inheritance that his uncle left him, but it is conditional upon him marrying. So There's a marriage of convenience trope in here. This was just honestly so delightful. I loved these characters. It felt like a warm hug. It was just warm, happy, funny. It was so great. It was a slow burn, but I didn't mind that at all. I really loved it and enjoyed it. And ever since I finished that on Sunday, today is Wednesday when I'm starting this reading vlog, I have just wanted to go back and read the whole books. So this book was on this first book in the Bergman Brothers series was on my July TBR, because my plan was read the first 3 to prepare for the arc, and then I just like threw all that out the window and just picked up the arc because I wanted to. Also, once I had picked this book for my TBR, I had started hearing some mixed reviews about it, so I was a little nervous to read it. Anyway, I loved the 4th book so much, just completely, honestly loved it. Like, definitely put that one on your TBR. Like, that is going to be on probably a list at the end of the year for, like, favorite books of the year. I just truly loved it. So, this morning on my walk, I needed a new audiobook, and I picked Only When It's Us, this first one in the Bergman Brothers. I am just a few chapters into it. It's told in alternating perspectives between the hero and the heroine. The heroine is Willa, and she is basically a college soccer star, and she's struggling to keep her college scholarship with some class, specifically like a business management class that she is struggling in. And so her professor tells her that she can get notes or help from Ryder Bergstrom, and they have a pretty frenemies type of beginning where they just kind of stare each other down and don't really like each other, and I think there's some miscommunication happening there. And then come to find out Ryder has hearing loss because of bacterial meningitis that he had. So he hasn't spoken for 2 years. I believe that's what it is, bacterial meningitis. I'll have to double check. So that's right where I'm at. That's all that I know. I do know that there are trigger warnings in this one for terminal illness, cancer, and loss of a loved one. And you do see that right off the bat where that's going to be. And honestly, that is a main reason why I've put this off, because I really don't enjoy reading about that at all. But I loved the 4th book so much that I'm like, okay, now is the time. So that's the book that I'm reading right now. Once I finish that, I'm going to kind of see what I'm in the mood for next and take a look at my TBR and hopefully stick to it, but I'm not going to hold myself to it. If I want to read something else, then I will. We'll see. We'll see where this vlog takes us. That's the plan for right now. We'll see how it goes later on. I'll check in with you once I've got something to update you on, I guess. Hello! Wait, we need to zoom out. Wait, zoom in. Say hi. Okay, zoom out. I didn't even invite him up. He just pounced on me. Wow, this is a chaotic clip, and I'm going to have to be quick because I have to take my son to work. So, good morning, friends. Welcome back to another clip of this vlog. I have a reading update for you. So, sadly, 30% into With You, Not With You Forever. Only When It's Us by Chloe Leese, and I DNF'd it. Honestly, I don't even feel bad because I'm pretty upset about what happened in this book, but I dearly loved book number 4, With You Forever, the arc that comes out September 18th, but this first book was, wow, I did not like this at all. It's set up to be an enemies to lovers, but the whole reason behind why they're enemies is super weak, and it's really based entirely on the heroine's own internal point of view towards the hero. It's all about how she is internalizing his behavior, and the behavior that he is having is because he is deaf and he can't hear her, so she thinks that he's ignoring her, and she just really is a very unlikable heroine. Like, I did not like her at all. That's not why I DNF'd it, though. This may be spoilery, but I still want to say it because I feel like it's important. So, just to give you a little bit of background, my son is hard of hearing. He has complete hearing loss in one ear, restricted hearing in the other ear. He is not a candidate for hearing aids due to the type of hearing loss that he has. And so this is a pretty close topic for me, and I felt like this was handled very poorly. There comes a time in the book when the hero does get hearing aids, and they're the kind that you can't really see very clearly, and so he doesn't tell people about them, and he specifically doesn't tell Willa, the heroine. She sees his hearing aids, and she immediately gets angry about it. She gets really angry about it. She feels like she had a right to know, that he should have told her because she was saying some things that she didn't really want him to hear, and she acted like he had this view into her private life that she didn't grant him access to. I don't know, like, it was honestly one of the most off-putting pieces of fiction that I have read in a really long time. The way she seemed so entitled to get information from him and to have him even tell her that. First of all, people who are hard of hearing who get hearing aids are under no obligation whatsoever to tell anyone that they have them, right? If you feel like you are saying things you don't want that hard of hearing person to hear, guess what? You need to check yourself, right? Like, it honestly upset me so much. I already ranted about it to Jessen and Jen, which I do pretty much all the time. If I come across something that I need to rant, I'm like, okay, I need to rant, so let me tell you. So honestly, I felt like that was really poorly handled. It just upset me a lot, and at that point, I was so upset with the heroine that I knew I wasn't going to enjoy the rest of the book. And so I DNF'd it at 30% in, and it's really disappointing, honestly. Her behavior towards him, it was all about how he acted around her, largely because he could not hear her. And the representation was poor. It was really poorly done, and honestly, if I was in a mood to rage read the rest of this book, I would have left it a scathing review, but I won't because, I don't know. And maybe it gets better, maybe it's something that's addressed and it does get better, but I wasn't in a place to want to read any more of that. So, DNF'd this book, do not recommend it. Really unhappy with the representation for hard of hearing people. So, okay, now, I don't know what else to read, honestly. I was thinking yesterday, I was like, okay, I'm going to finish that book, and then I'm going to pick up, because I just got in from my library, a book I had put on hold, because a few weeks ago I was in a mood for, like, I can't find my library reading app. Okay, there it is. I was in the mood for a thriller. Like, I feel like when it gets, like, really super hot in the summer and I just want it to be fall, that's when I sort of crave a spooky book. And so I was talking to my friend Sam from Sam Reads a Little when we went book shopping about a good thriller to read, and she was telling me about The Good Daughter by Karen Slaughter that she loved. Now, I've heard about this book for years, and I've never wanted to read it because I felt like it would be too scary or too much. But it just landed on my app from my library. And so I feel like it is time. I don't know, I'm gonna try it. If it gets too scary, I'll let you know. Okay, I gotta run. See you in a bit. He just has to make an appearance all the time now. I come in here, I get the camera set up, and then he's just like, hi mom, can I be on the camera too? Yeah. And of course I let him because he's precious. Okay, well, it is the same day. Oh no, my lights just went out. Hold on. Oh, that's better. Okay, my friends, so it is the same day. This is bugging me. I'm so sorry. Blah, blah, blah. 30 seconds of me just blah, blahing at you. It's the same day. And I have 2 more DNFs to tell you about, so that's fun. So, I picked up Vicious Protector by Maggie Cole, and this is book 4 in her Mafia War series. I dearly loved book 1, Ruthless Stranger. I really enjoyed book 2, which was Broken Fighter. Book 3 was a bit of a miss for me, and so I was pretty nervous going into book 4 because I feel like when I have a book from an author that is a bit of a miss, then I'm nervous going into their next one. Anyway, but I am doing on Jen's channel where we're going to be talking to Maggie Cole, and I wanted to read as many of her books as possible before then, but I really just wasn't vibing with this book today at all. Like, not at all. So I DNF'd that. I don't think it's a bad book, but I just wasn't vibing with it. I was not vibing with the hero, so DNF'd that one. And then I said I was going to pick up The Good Daughter by Karen Slaughter because I was feeling like I wanted something a little creepy, a little spooky, a little Halloween-y because it's freaking 100 degrees and I want it to be pumpkin spice season already. And the funny thing is that I did the exact same thing last year around this time of year. I read Riley Sager's Home Before Dark and I really liked that. It's right here. Like, this was such a fun reading experience. It was very suspenseful, it had a great mystery, and I just loved it, honestly. And I haven't picked up a thriller pretty much since last August, and I haven't really wanted to, honestly. I don't really very often get in the mood for thrillers. Occasionally I do, But it's almost always in like this late summer, early fall, where I kind of just want to feel like fall, you know? Anyway, so I picked that up, my audio book, and I listened to the first chapter, which was quite long. And no offense to anyone who loves this specific type of book, which I'm going to explain in a minute, but it is definitely not for me. And there is a vast range of different types of thrillers, and I think the reason that I liked Home Before Dark so much is that it didn't focus on violence against women. It wasn't gory at all, like the violence wasn't brutally depicted, and it didn't show the ugliest side of men specifically, against women, you know? It was just like this haunted house spooky vibe. Like, I really liked that. So I think I thought I would be a lot braver than I was, and to get through the whole first chapter was pretty tough, because this book is essentially about a young girl whose family is torn apart by this extremely violent act that happens in their lives. Her father is a defense attorney, and they're assuming that is why these people came to commit violence against them. Her mother is brutally killed before her eyes, vividly described. Like, it made me sick to my stomach as I was reading it. And the men there are, quite honestly, the worst type of men alive. They killed her mother, they committed mutilation to her sister, and the way that they talked about these young girls in a very gross sexual way, like, it just, sexual violence is graphically depicted, and it just made me just feel sick. And so I decided to DNF it because, and I know that's what Karen Slaughter is sort of known for. Like, she's not afraid, if you are a thriller reader, if you've read her, she's not afraid to get really gory and really describe it. And I feel like it's meant to shock you, But no, I just don't want it. I don't want to read about that, like, it's after reading just basically only romance, all different types of romance, from dark romance to historicals to contemporaries to rom-coms, like really emotional romances. It just made me so aware of, and honestly made me so angry, that The Good Daughter, this type of book, people feel zero shame about reading this. People feel absolute zero shame about reading this. Zero shame about talking about it. It's like trendy to read about true crime and murder mysteries, but then you take something that is almost always positive and uplifting and empowering and beautiful, like romance, and there's shame surrounded around that. It made me angry, and I just didn't like it. I mean, I'm definitely, the writing is solid, the writing is solid. And the end of the first chapter really leaves you hanging with this big mystery. I want to know, but I don't want to put myself through the trauma of reading that. Like, those aren't the type of feelings that I want when I'm reading. I don't want to be scared. I don't want to experience that feeling of fear that there are actual humans out there existing who commit these crimes against women. No, thank you. I feel like it's kind of hard enough to be a woman in this world. I don't need that added layer of fear. So this is my rant about that. I am sorry if you feel differently. Actually, you're welcome to feel differently, but I will not back down on this stance at all. I think it's ridiculous that this type of media consumption is perfectly fine, but anything that has romance or love or sex is shameful. Like, I just hate it so much. So that was my rant. Also, it made me, it really reminded me, like, the way this was described. When I was a freshman in college, I took a fiction and literature, like, class where we were studying all these different types of books and writing essays on them, and my professor, like, took me aside several times, and he's like, you have such great promise with your essay writing, like, and the way that you break down books, and I was just, like, feeling like such a great little literary student, And then the next book that we were assigned to read was In Cold Blood by Truman Capote, and I read the opening chapter of that, And it was for my little 18-year-old heart. I don't know if I would still be shocked by it or not, but it gave me those same feelings, but like amplified times 10. Just reading about such gruesome acts of violence. And that's a true story. In Cold Blood is a true story that actually happened. I just couldn't do it. I could not finish that book. So I went to my professor and I said, you know, I'm just going to have to take the fail on this because I cannot and I will not keep reading this. And he was so disappointed in me. He's like, you know, I think you should just push through it because I think you'd have some really interesting things to say and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it, you know? And I ended up, you know, having a great grade in that class, and that didn't make a difference either way. But that has always stuck with me, how he encouraged me to continue reading something that made me so deeply uncomfortable and that was so disturbing to me, just so I could have something to say about it in a literary atmosphere that it's just, I don't know, I'll never forget that experience. I honestly will never. And reading The Good Daughter, this is the type of thriller that I really hate. So it's going to be DNF'd. I'm sure it's a perfectly good book for people who like to read that, but if those type of people think that that should be celebrated and romance should not, I'll fight you. I'll fight them on that. So yeah, that's what I'm reading. Nothing right now. 2 DNFs. 3 DNFs. This is a great reading vlog, huh? I don't know what I'm going to read next. Something happy. So I'm probably going to pick a historical because that's my happy place. I don't know. We'll see what I pick and then I'll let you know what it is. Good morning, my friends. Okay, so I do have a reading update for you. Hello, little Cosmo. Hello. I did finish a book. It was The Beauty and the Blacksmith by Tessa Dare. This is actually a novella. It was only like 3.5, 4 hours long. I listened to the audio and I really liked it. This was very sweet. It was very funny. It was cute as all get out. It was low angst. It was fun. If you're looking for something just that's gonna be happy, I would recommend it because it was just cute, you know? I think that I probably rated it more 3.5, but I ran it up to 4 because there really wasn't anything wrong with it, honestly, other than I felt like the declaration of love just happened too quickly, and other than that, it was a very fulfilling novella. I just sort of wish that the love declaration hadn't really happened so fast, you know? I don't know. I'm picky about that, you know? You know how I am. So 3.5, 4 stars. Very cute, very fun. I mean, a solid read. This is part of the Spindle Cove novella, and this is with our heroine who has asthma, and she has sort of been infatuated with the blacksmith in the town. She's had basically a crush on him, and he has sort of had a crush on her too. So there are some really funny, cute scenes. There are some, I don't know, it was just really, it was good, it was light, it was funny, it was happy. I liked it. So after I finished that, I was kind of wanting something that would sort of engage me a little bit more, because while that was cute and fun, I wasn't like riveted. Like, it wasn't a book that I couldn't put down. It was just sort of like, And I feel like that's sort of how I feel about low angst reads in general. It's just like, they're cute and they're fun and they're needed when you need something comforting and something that's not gonna... What are you doing? Like stress you out or make you feel bad, you know? And so it was good for that reason, but it also wasn't necessarily like super engaging. Like I wasn't really invested just because the stakes were so low. Not that that's bad, it's just that I wanted something a little bit different, and today is July 31st, so that's the last book I'm including in my July wrap-up. So I just thought, I just want something fun. I don't even know what prompted me to pick this up, but the next book that I picked up is Halfway to the Grave by Janine Frost. So this series was one of my original favorite. I think this was actually the first adult paranormal... No, it might have been Black Dagger Brotherhood. One of those were... I think it was Black Dagger Brotherhood was the first adult paranormal romance series I ever read, you know, after Twilight happened, and I wanted something that was a little bit maybe more adult, but I wanted good paranormal romance, and I loved the Black Dagger Brotherhood. But this series, I loved so much. I was like obsessed with it. I think that I read this like, I want to say like, when was this even published? I haven't read it in so long. I still recommend it. So this was published in 2007. I read this in, I think around 2008-ish, somewhere around there. I just loved it so much, and I have vividly remembered how much I loved this series. I never finished it. I think I only read the first 4 books, maybe. But I have been wanting to get back to it and finish the series, or just to even reread it, just because I wanted to see what I thought about it, how it compares to other paranormal romances that I've read, and I don't know. I just wanted to. So I picked it up. Maybe this is part of, like, I want it to be October, so I picked up paranormal romance, which is usually something that I read in October. Like, I want it to be fall. And the thriller I picked up did not work for me, but this is very much working for me. I'm on chapter 4, and I am listening to the audiobook actually, which I've never done before, and from the moment I picked this up on audio, I was riveted. I just adore this world so much. If you don't know what this is, it's just so good. This is Cat and Bones. Cat is a half-vampire human whose mother was assaulted by her vampire father, and so she's sort of got this vendetta she's basically like a Buffy, where she's just like out there killing vampires to get back at this race who just ruined her mother's life. So she has some of the powers of a vampire, as in like she's faster and a little bit stronger, but not as much as a full-blown vampire. And the vampires can't tell that she's a vampire, so she lures them in, she kills them, and she does this like every single night. One night she comes across Bones, who is a British, very powerful vampire, but she doesn't know it yet, and she tries to entrap him like she does all of the other vampires, and he knows right away that what she's doing, and he also knows that she's not a vampire, but she's also not a human. So it's basically they end up teaming up and working together to use her skills and his vast knowledge, power, and strength. He's gonna like train her and help her to fight better, and they're going to go after like the big league vampires. So it's just so good, honestly. Like, I just love the series so much. I feel like probably if you've been reading romance for a while, you've probably heard of this. I've talked about it whenever I talk about paranormal romances, but I haven't talked about them in a while because I haven't really been in the mood to read them, but I'm just loving this so much. I don't remember what I rated this. I don't think I had Goodreads back when I read this, or maybe I did. I don't even remember. I don't think I had Goodreads. Maybe? I don't know. Maybe I did and I wasn't reading it, because I know there was a time, like before I had my Kindle, way back when I read this, I had a Nook, and I read this, like the whole series, or as many as were out at the time, on my Nook. And so I wasn't using Goodreads, I was just reading a ton of indie romances on my Nook. And then when I found out there was this isn't indie romance, but I was reading a ton of like paranormal romance and whatever indie romance was available on Nook, because back then, I'm gonna sound old, back then the Amazon indie romances were not available on Nook, on the ebook, so you had to. The Nook, if you don't know, it was Barnes & Noble's original e-reader, and I still have one, but that's how I read this, and so I wasn't reading it on Goodreads, which makes me sad, because I read some really good books back then. But anyway, that's been a million years ago. This has been an interesting reading vlog, right? But I'm loving this so much. So what I'm going to do, I just got ready to go to the gym. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to finish reading this, and then I will update you with my final thoughts on this, and then we'll close out this vlog. So thank you for being here and watching my journey and my rants and all that good stuff. And yeah, I expect that's going to be a 5-star read because I just love it so much. And maybe part of that is partly nostalgia, because as soon as I started reading it, I was taken back to that moment of when I first discovered paranormal romance, adult paranormal romance, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love this so much, you know? So it's good. It's good. Okay, I'll see y'all in a bit. Hello, my friends. Okay, it is the final vlog clip in this vlog, and guess what? I have 2 5-star books to talk about. Isn't that exciting? Isn't that exciting? Okay, so we're going to talk about the ARC that I just read, that is the physical book that I've been reading this week, and sometimes I'm hesitant to include the books I'm physically reading, like on my Kindle or paperback, throughout in a reading vlog, because I just read them so slowly. So every day I'd be like, yep, I read 10 pages last night, you know. But I was able to finish this last night. It's the last book that I read in July, and it was the Casanova by T.L. Swan. This is an ARC. This went up on NetGalley this week. Jen let me know it was up there, and I immediately grabbed it because I dearly loved The Takeover. The Takeover, which I was recommended to me by Jen, I just absolutely loved that book so much. So I was nervous about the Casanova. I was a little nervous about it because I loved The Takeover so much, and I feel like anytime you have a book from an author that you love so much, you get a little nervous about their next release, you know? At least that's how I feel. But I was also very hyped about it, and just couldn't wait to get back into this world. So this is the 3rd book in the Miles High Club, which follow the Miles brothers. So book 1 is one brother. I have not read that book. That's the stopover. Book 2 is the takeover with Tristan. Book 1 is Jameson. Book 3 is Elliot Miles' story. So this book is a contemporary romance, and this one, I think you could say this is like enemies to lovers, workplace romance, and billionaire too, because Elliot is extremely wealthy. So, but it honestly is so much more than that. Like, I ended up really loving this book, and I gave it 5 stars. And I will say, there was a point in this book, and I'm not going to spoil what it was, but the final conflict happened, and I was so angry. I was literally about to throw my Kindle across the room. But I will say that the ending of this book, that final wrapping everything up, was one of the most satisfying endings that I have ever read, and that is really what pushed it to 5 stars, because before that part I was thinking this is maybe a high 4-star, could be a 5-star, and then that final conflict happened, and I was like, if this doesn't get resolved in a way that is exceedingly good, it's going to be a 3-star. And then it did get resolved in a way that I felt was exceedingly good, and so I gave it 5 stars. I loved it, honestly. Let me tell you what it's about. So this book follows Elliot. He is one of the Miles boys. They own and run Miles Media Company, and he is the CEO of the London office. So he lives in London. This book is set in London, and that was really fun to read about as an American, because it just was fun, you know? And so he is the boss, and it is a romance between him and his IT manager, whose name is Kate. Now, they are very much enemies, like from the moment that they met, basically, and they've known each other for 7 years. There has been just this crackling animosity because of a specific thing that happened when they first met. And so anytime they're together, like, there's just constant back and forth, like, at each other's throats the whole time. And that alone is pretty fun, honestly, because Kate is a real firecracker of a heroine. Like, she is not afraid to say what's on her mind, and she does not put up with Elliot's behavior, which I really, really liked. And I feel like something that makes her character work so well for me is that T.L. Swan builds her so strong like that, and so, like, in your face, like, you will not treat me like that. But she also crafts her character with a lot of vulnerabilities. There are some vulnerabilities in here that are very beautiful and very endearing. I will say, the one thing that I didn't love about this book is that Kate has endometriosis, and it was literally only mentioned, like, twice, and when it was kind of just an offhand comment, or, you know, I didn't love that, but I also enjoyed that it wasn't the focus of the plot, you know, so just, as a note, it does have endometriosis rep in it, but I wouldn't say that it is necessarily accurate from my experience. Anyway, so they end up, they're working together, and then there is this one moment where Elliot sees Kate, and he doesn't realize that it's her. He sees her on the office security cameras in a very tight dress for like netball or something like that. It was a sport I'm not familiar with. It sounded like it was similar to like a tennis uniform. Very sexy red dress, and he is like, whoa, who is this? And he's just overwhelmed with this attraction to her. And then he realizes who she is, and he's like taken aback, and he's like, what? Why am I having these feelings for her? And so that sort of starts this just scorching chemistry between them. And when she realizes that he actually is extremely attracted to her, she's like, do I like this? Maybe I like this. It's just really, really fun that way. But as was in The Takeover, I feel like she handles that chemistry and that heat really well, balanced with a lot of humor. Like, there were some adorably funny moments in here, some moments that just made me laugh out loud, but there's also a whole lot of heart and emotion in here. Like, the tenderness and the emotion that you see in Elliot throughout his journey of being this cold alpha, kind of an a-hole guy, towards just softening up only for Kate was just absolutely beautiful. And this book was a bit of a ride. Like, it's an emotional roller coaster. It has a really great mystery surrounding who an artist is, that Elias is really enamored with her work. There is like a fake dating profile set up on a dating app website. Like, that was really fun too. There is a really like enchanted farm that Elliot sort of takes over and lives in, that has like a pack of guard ducks and a goat that needs a companion. And it was just, honestly, this book, I wasn't necessarily, like I said, like there was that moment where I really wanted to just like chuck the book across the room, but the ending just made it work for me so well. So this was a solid 5-star read. Absolutely enjoyed it. Really, really, honestly, I liked it a whole lot. I can't say it's not without its flaws, because it is, but I will say that, because it does have some flaws, but for me, just the pure reading experience and that ending just made it well worth the read, and it's a 5-star book, and it's one that I would recommend. Like, I really enjoyed it. So that is my review on that. I'm super happy that I was able to read an advanced copy of that. I believe this comes out at the end of August sometime. I think like the 24th or the 28th. I'm not sure. But keep an eye out for it, because I really, really liked it. So, also, then, let's talk about Halfway to the Grave by Janine Frost. Oh, I love this book so much. I was kind of curious to know how it would hold up based on the memory that I have of it. Now, I think that I read this in 2008, I'm pretty sure. And I remember just like devouring this series, like reading it so quickly and just absolutely being in love with it. Like, every book that was out up to that point, I just was obsessed with. And then I think when there was a lull between when the next book was coming out, then I kind of forgot about it for a while, and I wasn't reading a ton. I had little kids that were growing up, and anyway, so I got away from it, and now I want to go back and finish it. But this was a 5-star read for me. I feel like this absolutely holds up. I think that this is, if you like paranormal romance and you've been a reader of it for a long time, you've probably read this. But if you haven't, I would recommend this. I think it's just so much fun. This book is just so fun. It is just sexy. It is funny. Like, the characters, Cat and Bones, they have so much great banter. They have a great relationship. Like, Bones is so, like, I loved watching his evolution of character, from how he goes from that moment of just being so intrigued with her initially, like when he meets her and she's like, yeah, let's fight, let's see what I've got against you, like, to then actually developing true, real feelings for her. Like, it was just so good. I just really loved, it's super fast-paced. The plot is, like, lightning quick. There's not really ever a dull moment in here. It's emotional. It's just so fun. All I can really say about it is that if you're looking for a great escapist, fun paranormal romance, I just would highly recommend this. I think that it does kind of fall into a little bit of the pitfalls of the early 2000s paranormal romances, where you have a super snarky, strong, bad A heroine, but she's also pretty vulnerable, and so I think that that makes her work for me. And there is, like, some of the dialogue is a little cliche, but, like, honestly, I sort of expect that and kind of embrace that in this genre, because I just feel like it's kind of a trademark of it, and it's just so freaking fun. This gives off strong Buffy and Spike vibes, so if you like that, I would highly recommend this. Like, it was just so much fun. This was just absolutely enjoyable from first page to last page. It was a treat. So now I grabbed the second one because I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna binge the whole series now. That's what I'm gonna do. It's so fun. I just loved it. It was just great. I love Cat and Bones. They're just fantastic. So loved this. 2 5-star reads. Well, this vlog has been a bit of a journey, hasn't it? Okay, let's see. We had 3 DNFs. We had 2 rants. And then we had a cute novella, and then we found 2 new favorite books. I mean, this was already a favorite, but I'm so happy to see that this lived up to the memories and the experience that I had of reading this for the first time, because I just adored it so much. Like, I will say that this is the type of book, like, I mean, this series is one of those where it follows Cat and Bones, their couple, like, throughout, as far as I got, so at least like 4 or 5 books in, it follows them. There are spin-off books that I really love too that I can't wait to reread, but this book does leave off on a cliffhanger as far as it goes as in Cat and Bones' relationship. Like, there is no happily ever after in this book. There's not even really happy for now. It does end on a cliffhanger with their relationship, but I still recommend it because it's just so freaking good. So, and also they're very fast reads. Like, I read this in less than a day. It was so great. I loved it so much. So, alright, there you go. Now I'm for real finished with this vlog. Thank you so much for watching, my friends. I hope you enjoyed coming along on this journey, and yeah, hope you enjoyed my rants and all that good stuff. If you have made it this far, please leave a moon for the paranormal romance. Any type of moon. I don't know. If you want. If you want to leave that emoji, that would be great. Thank you so much for watching, my friends. I'll see y'all in my next video.